I want to talk about what's going on right now between the United States and Russia, right? So you have the U.S. claiming that Russia's preparing to invade the Ukraine. Russia saying it ain't happening. You know, the U.S. is moving troops out. Excuse me, moving folks out the embassy and telling their folks to go on ahead and bringing in more troops, so on and so forth. Them and NATO. What's the connection? Excuse me, not what's the connection. What is your analysis as to what's going on right now between what is the United States planning in your because there's a whole lot of confusion amongst quote unquote activists. I've seen some people, you know, who I thought was on the right side of history, and it's like on the right side of the barricades get confused by outside propaganda and find themselves siding with the state because of confusion. So can you talk about that? What is your take on that?
No, it's really unfortunate that we have, you know, that level of confusion. You would think that at least among radical forces, black radical forces, we would be clear. Right. It wouldn't allow ourselves to be drawn into a position where we give ideological cover to aggressive U.S. imperialist policies, because that's what we have in with this Ukraine situation. We say in the Black Alliance for Peace that Ukraine is just a symptom, but the disease is the colonial capitalist system. Okay, so we're clear about that. That we understand that today is Ukraine, tomorrow is going to be China, and as we talk about Ukraine today, Ethiopia is still being bled as a consequence of U.S. actions in Ethiopia. Right. That U.S. troops are operating across the African continent. That there's war taking place in the Eastern Congo, being perpetrated by the Ugandan military that's in cahoots with the U.S. So we are that Libya is still now a destroyed state. People talk about a failed state. Libya didn't fail. It was attacked by NATO under your first black president. Okay, so you know these situations continue. The Palestinians are still suffering. So we understand it's imperialism. It is imperialism that's the enemy. Okay, so in Ukraine, what we have is the U.S. imperialist project being executed by these stumbling, bumbling, inept elements that are part of the Biden administration. They and the target is to try to maintain control of Europe. This is part of the whole full spectrum dominance doctrine, to try to control all of the various regions. That's why they attacked basically Ethiopia. That's why they had attacked in 2011 Libya. That's why they targeted Venezuela in South America. They are trying to maintain control over that 550 million people that make up the European market, and trying to create a buffer between them and Russia that is rising as a capitalist power. Okay, so it's about Europe. It's about Germany. It's about the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which is this new pipeline that the U.S. is trying to block. It's going to bring Russian gas from Russia, the Russian Federation, to the Germans. Okay, so it's about the money. It's about capital. It's about capitalist competition. All right. So Ukraine is just sort of the convenient jump off point for that. They want to expand NATO. They want to continue the encirclement of Russia so that they can then exercise military and economic control. They want to bait the Russians into some kind of irresponsible military incursion so that they can slap more sanctions on Russia, because they've been using sanctions as a weapon, as a capitalist weapon, to give them comparative advantage. Right now, there's almost 40 nations under U.S. sanctions. You know, they used to tell us that, you know, the market and capitalist rules and all that was always BS. Okay,
Malarkey, right?
they're using sanctions as a weapon against their economic competitors, and also to control their economic allies, who is still relatively dependent on the U.S. and U.S. capital. Okay, so but the Russians, because they are adults, they were not going to be drawn into any kind of irrational, counterproductive activity. I mean, that's why it was so almost comical to see how they was framing this thing about the Russians. When they didn't say the Russians, Putin, because it always has to be an individual,
That's
is
right.
ready to invade Ukraine. Invade Ukraine for what? I mean,
Right.
a war is nothing but politics by other means.
That's right.
And because of your fumbling, bumbling policies, the Russians were winning the political battle. They try to say, and Biden said it again today, that the Western alliance is solid and united. We can't cuss on this, can we? I don't.
I mean, if you don't cuss, I'm gonna feel insulted. This riot started TV. You said you knew me when I ain't have grades. I'm trying to figure out where we was at in Macon. I'm still back there, and you gonna ask me, can we cuss? We got the Lauryn Hill fact over here. We had a motherfucker so the Negroes can hear us. But anyway, go ahead, proceed, man. Stop treating me like that.
So basically, it's all bullshit.
Right on.
And basically, what we see with this situation with Russia and the U.S. is that what the U.S. really wants to do is have a proxy war. So again, they can impose sanctions on the Russians. Okay. Now, what we can't do is to be pulled into this thing, given it legitimacy. You got some Africans who have been propped up writing stuff about Ukraine and why Black folks should be supportive of U.S. policies, and we're saying, what kind of Negro is this? Do you not know that the way they frame this thing is about the legitimacy of NATO?
Right.
Do you know what NATO is? NATO is nothing but a white supremacist structure.
That's right.
And NATO is the structure they use to support the Portuguese in Africa, fighting against the African revolutionaries. That's right. In Mozambique, in Angola, in Guinea-Bissau. Okay. It was NATO that they used to basically destroy Libya. That's right. You talking about NATO? You're ignorant. Okay, so we got to deal with this confusion because you have people who are even radicals who then want to bait us into a conversation around whether or not the Russians are imperialists or not. I don't give a fuck if they are imperialists.
That's right.
Our main objective, our main enemy for us is this pan-European colonial capitalist project. We have some contradictions with the Russians and even the Chinese, but they're in my opinion, they're secondary contradictions. Okay,
right.
Our main enemy is these folks that spilled out of Europe in 1492, waged war against the indigenous, start bringing us in to exploit us, and built what we refer to today as the so-called West. Right. They're the ones responsible for the death and destruction like we've never seen in the annals of human history. They are the ones that are the main threat to collective humanity. They're the ones that are responsible for the death and destruction of our people. I don't care about those Russians and those Chinese. And you can't, the equivalency suggests that they are the same. No, it's this enemy. Okay. But see, again, this is just convenient because these folks don't want to fight. They really don't want to struggle. They just want to rap.
That's right.
And pontificate and posture. They don't want to deal with the real consequences and possibilities when you really take up and you follow a revolutionary path. It ain't no joke. Because as you know, as I know, because I worked on Geronimo's case for 13 years. Okay. Yes, we got Africans still locked up, still being held down. Man. We got the longest held political prisoners on the planet.
Without a question. Not even acknowledged as political prisoners.
When you really take up a revolutionary mantle. But most folks ain't serious about this. They don't really want no revolution. No. And they're not willing to step out there. That's why they hold themselves back and use these milk toast terms, and that's why they attack us. We tankies and this and that, because we're taking a revolutionary position. We stand with the people of Nicaragua.
That's right.
of Venezuela. We stand with the people of Cuba. Okay. And on those kinds of issues, that's why we say no compromise, no retreat. We ain't playing. This ain't no game.
That's right. That's right.